Hello and welcome to What Is, the channel dedicated to answering the questions you thought you already knew the answers to. Today, we go back 66 million years, back to the roaring, scale-covered icon that defines prehistory. You know the image. A giant lizard, teeth like steak knives, shaking the earth with every step. You call it a dinosaur. But what is a dinosaur? The funny thing about that question is, the correct answer is far more specific, and far stranger than the blockbuster movie version. If you asked a paleontologist, they wouldn't just wave their hands and say, "Big, extinct lizard." They'd give you criteria. They'd give you footnotes. They'd give you hips. Scientifically, a dinosaur belongs to a major group of reptiles called Dinosauria. They are part of a larger group known as the archosaurs, the ruling reptiles, which also includes crocodiles and alligators. But here is the absolute defining trick. It's all about the walk. A true dinosaur stands upright. They don't sprawl like a lizard or waddle like a crocodile. Their legs are held directly beneath their bodies, like a mammal. This posture allowed them to be incredibly efficient, fast, and, crucially, massive. If its hips don't lie, it's a dinosaur. So, when exactly did humanity decide to slap the label dinosaur on these colossal bones? To answer that, we have to travel not to the Jurassic period, but to the very damp, very rigid high society of 1840s Victorian England. For centuries, people had found huge, frightening bones, usually attributing them to giants, dragons, or biblical failures. But things began to shift in the 1820s. First, there was Reverend William Buckland, a geological heavy hitter, a notorious eccentric who once ate a preserved human heart just to say he had. In 1824, Buckland formally described the jaw of a massive carnivore found near Oxford. He named it Megalosaurus, meaning great lizard. Then there was Gideon Mantell, a country doctor who, around the same time, was obsessed with a few colossal teeth found by his wife, Mary Ann. Mantell realized these teeth looked exactly like an iguana's, just monstrously large. He named his specimen Iguanodon. These discoveries were revolutionary, but they were isolated, pieces of a gigantic puzzle. Enter Sir Richard Owen. Owen was the era's foremost comparative anatomist, brilliant, arrogant, and hugely competitive. He looked at the fragments described by Buckland and Mantell, analyzed the unique hip structures, and realized these were not merely large versions of existing reptiles. These were a distinct, ancient order. In 1842, using the Greek words dinos, terrible or fearful, and sauros, lizard or reptile, Owen invented the name that would echo through history, Dinosauria, terrible lizards. Owen wasn't just naming 3 or 4 cool skeletons. He was defining a dynasty, a group that ruled the planet for 165 million years. Now, let's clear up the confusion that has plagued museum gift shops for decades. Because if we are going to define what a dinosaur is, we absolutely must define what it is not. Not every massive, scaly thing that died during the Mesozoic era was a dinosaur. The rules, remember, are strict. Take the pterodactyl, the iconic flying reptile with leathery wings. Is it a dinosaur? Absolutely not. It's a pterosaur. It belongs to its own branch of the archosaur family tree. Dinosaurs could not actively fly, at least not in the pterosaur fashion. What about those creatures terrorizing the deep? The ichthyosaurs, the plesiosaurs, the mosasaurs, the giant marine reptiles. They are also not dinosaurs. They are marine reptiles. Dinosaurs were creatures of the land. Think of it this way. Paleontologists are very strict bouncers at the Mesozoic Club. If you fly with wing membranes, you're out. If you live solely in the ocean, you're out. You must be terrestrial, and your signature must be those unique, upright hips. This meticulous definition leads us to the most profound, and often most overlooked, truth about the dinosaur. The question isn't what was a dinosaur. The question is, what is a dinosaur? Because, despite the general assumption, the dinosaurs are not extinct. When the massive asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula 66 million years ago, it didn't kill all the dinosaurs. It killed the non-avian dinosaurs, the Triceratops, the Stegosaurs, the mighty sauropods. But one lineage survived, small, feathered, and agile. A group that had already evolved flight, yes. The modern birds, everything from the sparrow outside your window to the chicken on your dinner table, are direct descendants of feathered, carnivorous dinosaurs. Specifically, they are avian dinosaurs. When you look at a chicken, you are literally looking at a tiny, highly specialized, two-legged, surviving theropod. A small but successful cousin of Tyrannosaurus rex. So, the next time you hear that deafening roar in a movie, or see those massive bones in a museum hall, remember the technicality. A dinosaur is not just a terrible lizard. It is an archosaur defined by its upright stance, named by a pompous Victorian scientist, and whose living descendants are currently trying to steal the seeds from your bird feeder. And that, my friends, is what a dinosaur is. If you enjoyed this deep dive into prehistoric classification and Victorian ego, let us know. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you never miss another answer to a question you thought you already knew. What is? We figure it out so you don't have to. We'll see you next time.